Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Shelly with the Lemonade Store, and I kind of wanted to just go over something basic today, like drills. So I'm going to kind of pop up on the screen a couple of my first lettering attempts, and I started this in February of 2015, and I have practiced every day, and I know I've talked about this in another video, but it's super important to practice. I've made a couple of different packets. I've made this one, which is an uppercase alphabet, and I've also made a lowercase alphabet, and both of those are available in my Etsy store. But if you don't have the funds to purchase these, I also have free drills, a brief, sheet of drills and lowercase alphabet on my website, www.thelemonadestore.com, that you can download for free. And if you subscribe, I also usually give coupon codes to my subscribers, so that way in the future you can purchase one of the other ones. What I want to go through today is I'm just going to walk you through some of how I hold my pen, what kind of tools, and I think I'm going to go over just some basic tools. A Crayola broad tip. Right now my favorite paintbrush is this Grumbacher Golden Edge 4620 round number 4. I tend to like size 4 round, so if you have one of those, it doesn't have to be this one, try those out. A Pentel Touch Fude sign pen, and a Sharpie brush tip pen. I think I used this one the most when I first started out, this in Crayolas, but it took me a long time to kind of click with the Crayolas. And I like the Crayolas because it's really teaching you how to do pressure. So we're going to go over those 4 different tools, and we'll go over some of these worksheets together. So go and download the free ones if you don't have the larger ones. And the larger ones have a sheet for every single letter. It just makes it easier to really get the repetition. But you can totally do this with just the free downloads. So see you in a sec. Okay, so let's start with the Crayola, because if you guys have seen me on Instagram, it's one of my favorite things to do is use a Crayola, because you can go and buy a pack for like practically nothing at the store. And let's just start with an A. So this is a digital download you can get from my shop, and we're gonna just go over, this is how I typically hold my pen. So I don't hold it upright. So I don't hold it up and down. This is how I think a lot of us write. When I'm lettering, I will hold it almost in like sideways, kind of moving it in this area here. Whatever kind of feels comfortable, but just not up and down. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So upstrokes are always light pressure. You're barely doing any pressure, and you're going to move your whole arm. You're not just going to use your hand like this. We're going to try and go up with light pressure. And then you get a thinner line. And then I have a tendency to flip my pen a lot, so you don't have to do that. That's just one of my habits. Then when you're going to do your down pressure with a Crayola, you do need to have a pretty good grip, because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure down. And I guess it's because it's like got this cone shape. You can create these bigger, thicker strokes when it's kind of turned to the side and by pushing down. So put your pen down, push, and you get a thinner stroke, or thicker stroke, sorry. And if you need to stop there before you go up, you stop, and then you go up. So that's basically what you're going to do. And if you do that enough times, you're building enough memory in your arm to like create your thicks and your thins. And you don't have to do continuous strokes in hand lettering. This isn't cursive. So it doesn't all have to be one movement. The idea is to lift your pen up in between movements to get the desired effect, I think. At least that's how I do it. And eventually, if you do enough of them, maybe you don't need to stop. You can just continue on because you've learned how to do the pressure in your hand, in your arm. Okay, so that's with a Crayola broad tip. Sharpie. I don't know if this pen's gonna be dead or not, but we'll try it. So these brush tips, I really like these brush tips, but they don't work on a lot of paper. This is just regular copy paper that I printed this on. It's not even in color. And it's the same idea. I'm holding it here. I'm not holding it upright. And I'm gonna try and go slow on the tip and light pressure going up. And then heavy pressure down, light pressure up. And you can stop in between. So Sharpies are similar, they just have a more flexible brush tip. And see, it's probably bleeding through all my paper. Super Pigment did too. They'll bleed on your regular paper. So, but I really like Sharpies. I think they're fun. I use them to letter on all sorts of stuff because they're permanent. Okay, let's try doing a G. And on the uppercase ones, I kind of got a little bit fancier. Just to give you guys some variations on some of the letters. And I think you can do it. So, sound like somebody crashed upstairs. Okay, so I am just using some food coloring that I got. And let's just start. Now, watercoloring for me is different. I don't always hold my brush like this. It's not practical for me because it's more like I am drawing in the lines, but I am putting pressure. So it's a little bit different. Don't be hard on yourself as you're practicing. You're just gonna kind of have to find your rhythm, I guess. So I'm gonna go down, pressing a little bit harder, and as I come up and turning, I lessen my pressure. And this is not watercolor paper, so it's gonna kind of bleed and buckle a little bit, but you can practice on regular paper. I always practice so I don't waste the expensive paper. So like when I do a longer thick stroke like the G, I will kind of not be upright. I'll turn and get that nice wide angle, and I will sometimes stop right at the bottom, and you can go the normal way, or when you're watercolor painting you can go the other way to get a nice clean line. And I know not everybody, I'm sure not everybody does it like this. I'm just showing you what I have found and what kind of works for me, and maybe it'll work for you. So there's just not one way to do it. So down, come around, light pressure. If you want to dip it into another color, that's where you could do it on the transition. If this was watercolor paper, it would blend a lot better. And I tend to go back over it when I'm doing watercolor. And see how you dip it in while it's wet. Come around and back up. And with watercolor, I always kind of go back. It's like you're drawing in your letters. It doesn't have to be perfect all in one swoop. Swoop, I think that's the right word. So that's it for watercolor. You're just going to kind of draw it in. It's still a pressure issue. You're still, something gross on my thing. It's still pressure. So if you're here and you know you're going to come down, push down harder so you get a thicker stroke. So that concept is still the same, but with watercolor you can go in and paint things differently. Hopefully not like this. This isn't very pretty, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's do the final. This is a Pentel Fude touch sign pen. Let's see if I can focus in on that for you. And this has a super small tip, but we could still practice with it because it's the same principle. And I will hold my pen in this little corner. I don't even know what that's called. There's probably a word for it. So start at the top, press down, light pressure when we're coming around. If you need to stop, stop. Go back down, pressure. And since this is obviously a smaller tip pen, you're not going to have those super thick lines, but you can see the difference with the pen on which ones are downstrokes, because those are obviously thicker lines. So a little bit of bleed right there. I haven't picked up one of these pens in a while, so you could tell which ones you're rusty on. And it's so crazy how if you don't do one of them for a while, how like you totally change. And I also always kind of like, I like really thick downstrokes. So after I would be done with this, I'd probably come in here and even add more. So think of it like drawing in your letters, you know, kind of doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so subscriber shout out is next. And today's lottery winner is dun, da, 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 Trias. All right. Woo. Okay, for Trias, we are going to use this acrylic block, and these are the Koi coloring brush pens, and you can do this with pretty much any kind of water-based pen. I haven't tried this color combo before, but that's what makes it so fun. And you pick up the color with the lighter one, you put the darker one on the acrylic. And that's pretty. I just pick it up as I go. You don't have to pick it up between each stroke. You can change it around. Do whatever your little heart desires. But that looks pretty. And then when you're done, you take like a scratch piece of paper and just scribble until it's clear. You don't have any of the other color on your pen, and then you can put it away as normal. And I'm going to add some silver. I like these Uniball Signos. These are really great fun gel pens. And maybe add just a little bit of some white. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you like, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. I totally appreciate it. And if you would like to see your name lettered at the end, just leave a comment and I will add it to my Ziploc baggie jar, because we are high tech. All right guys, take it easy. Much love.